There is a special kind of desperation, the kind that makes you light candles you don't understand, whisper names you shouldn't pronounce, and trust instructions passed down like a game of haunted telephone. Because when a curse sinks its teeth into your bloodline, you don't call customer service, you start experimenting. Tonight, we're not just talking about curses. We're talking about the people who tried to break them. Some succeeded, some made it worse, and some, well, they didn't live long enough to review the results. Welcome back to the dark waters. Let's start with the rare miracle, because every once in a while, someone stares into the abyss, and the abyss blinks first. A rural Sicilian family, early 1900s. Every firstborn son dead before 30. Accidents, illness, one fell from a roof that had no edge to fall from. Classic cursed behavior. No flair, just efficiency. Enter a local cunning woman. Not a witch, not a priest, something in between. The kind of person you only visit at night and never admit to in daylight. Her solution? A binding ritual using iron nails, black thread, and grave dirt. The name of the suspected ancestor whispered backwards, and a final step, burying the curse at a crossroads before sunrise. Because apparently curses hates intersections, too many options, not enough commitment. The result? The pattern? Stopped. Firstborn son start living. The family line stabilized. But here's the catch. The ritual didn't destroy the curse, it relocated it. Local rumors say misfortune began clustering around that crossroads for decades. Livestock dying, travelers getting lost. One man reportedly walked in circles until he starved. So, yes, the family survived, but they didn't end the curse. They just outsourced it. Post rule Japan, a family claimed something lived in their home. Not a ghost, something older. Footsteps with no rhythm. Shadows that didn't match bodies. And the smell? Not decay, not rot. Something like wet earth that had learned how to breathe. They brought in a Shinto priest. No theatrics, no chanting marathon, just precision. Salt purification at every threshold. A ritual offering to acknowledge the spirit, not banish it. And a final Norito prayer spoken like a contract negotiation. Here's the twist. They didn't try to remove the entity. They recognized it, appeased it, gave it boundaries, and the activity stopped. No more footsteps, no more smell, just silence, which, in haunted places, is the closest thing to peace you're going to get. Now let's get into the fun part, because nothing escalates a curse quite like someone with confidence and zero qualifications. 1960s, Italy. A man becomes convinced his family is cursed after a streak of deaths and financial ruin. So naturally, he does what any rational person would do. He decides to burn the curse out. Literally. He gathers family heirlooms, photos, letters, anything tied to ancestry, builds a bonfire, and declares the past erased. Very dramatic, very cinematic. Very bad idea. Within weeks, his home catches fire again. No clear cause. His livestock die in unnatural ways. Neighbors report hearing screaming when no one was inside. He insulted it. Turns out curses, like people, don't enjoy being ghosted and set on fire. Modern case, online instructions. Already a red flag. A woman follows a curse breaking ritual she found on a forum. You know the kind. Written like a recipe, but more demons. Steps included lighting candles in front of a mirror, saying her name repeatedly, asking whatever is attached to reveal itself. Well, let's pause right there. If you invited something to reveal itself, it might RSVP. After the ritual, she begins seeing figures behind her and reflections. Objects move, but only when mirrors are nearby. She reports something, learning her routines. Learning, not a haunting. That's onboarding. She didn't break a curse. She opened a door and forgot to install a lock. Somewhere between folklore and police reports, there are stories like this one. A group attempted a blood ritual to cut ties with a generational curse because nothing says clean break like adding blood. They performed it incorrectly. Of course they do. Wrong symbols, wrong timing, and most importantly, no closing ritual. Afterward, members report shared nightmares, physical marks appearing overnight. One participant claims they can hear thoughts that aren't theirs. The group disbands, not because the curse ended, but because it spread. They didn't sever the chain, they turned it into a network. Here's the uncomfortable truth: curses, if they exist, don't behave like the movies. They behave like systems. And rituals, they are not magic spells, they're negotiations. And if you walk into a negotiation without understanding the rules, you don't win. You become part of the terms. Patterns behind success: respect, not aggression, understanding the origin, closing what you open. Seriously, this is not optional. Patterns behind failure: ego, I can handle this. Improvisation, this should work. And my personal favorite, I found it online or I saw it on a movie. If your curse breaking method comes with pop up ads, maybe don't trust it. Breaking a curse isn't about brute force. It's not about fire or defiance or screaming into the void like it owes you money. It's about knowing what you're dealing with, and more importantly, knowing when to leave it alone. Because some curses don't want to be broken, they want to be continued, fed, remembered. And sometimes the moment you try to end them is the moment they finally notice you. So if something in your life feels off, patterns repeating, shadows lingering a second too long, maybe ask yourself, is it a curse? Or are you just standing in the wrong place at the wrong time with something that's been waiting for you. Maybe in another episode, we'll dive deeper into cursed objects that refuse to stay buried and the ones who keep digging them back up because history doesn't repeat itself, but sometimes it follows you home. Or at least sleep lightly if you can't sleep well tonight. Here are lesser known, borderline forgotten cursed cases. Late 1800s, a small farming village where records were selective and gossip was gospel. A woman loses three husbands in under 10 years. Each death is ruled under natural, fever, fall, bad air, but witnesses claim something off. At each funeral, she laughed. Not loudly, not theatrically, just a soft, involuntary chuckle, like someone hearing a private joke. Eventually, villagers accused her of invoking something to ensure she never be poor again. A local priest attempted a cleansing ritual inside her home. During the blessing, candles reportedly went out one by one. The priest stopped mid prayer and refused to continue. He later wrote privately that the house rejects absolution. After her death, the property passed through multiple owners. Every married man who lives there reportedly died within a few years. Not dramatic deaths, quiet ones, like something keeping a promise, politely. Early 1900s tucked deep into rural Nagano in Japan, a logging family repeatedly lost members to a bizarre accidents. Trees falling the wrong direction, tools malfunctioning, one man crushed by a tree trunk that had already been cut and secured. Local belief pointed to a broken agreement with the forest. Legend says the family ancestor cut down a sacred tree without ritual permission. A Shinto practitioner advised a reconciliation ritual. Offerings placed at a stump site, apology recited to the forest spirit, a symbolic replanting gesture. The family performed it halfway. They skipped the final step. Thought it was symbolic, thought it was symbolic, optional. Afterward, accidents didn't stop, they adapted. Now it wasn't the forest attacking, it was the land itself. Sudden sinkholes, crops failing in geometric patches, footprints appearing where no one walked. The curse didn't escalate, it recalibrated. 1930s Venice. A family reports something simple at first. Reflections stopped matching movements. Subtle, easy to dismiss, until guests started noticing. A visiting relative allegedly saw her own reflection, still smiling after she stopped. The family consulted a folklorist practitioner who claimed the mirror had become a threshold object. His advice? Cover it. Do not interact. Do not acknowledge. Instead, someone tried a ritual to force whatever is inside to leave. Mirrors were covered, candles lit, names demanded. After that, reflections reportedly began appearing before people entered rooms. One family member refused to look into any reflective surface again. Another claimed they saw someone practicing behind them. No documented resolution. The house was eventually abandoned. Not sold, just left. Mid 1900s, a family spread across villages began reporting the same dream in southern France, northern Italy border. Not similar, identical. A figure standing at the foot of the bed, speaking a language none of them consciously understood, and leaving behind a physical mark upon waking. Doctors dismissed it. Stress, suggestion, until relatives who had never met described the same figure. A local folklorist suggests generational curse tied to an unresolved act, possibly violence, possibly ritualistic. One branch of the family attempted a bloodline cleansing rite. Afterwards, the dream stopped for them, but intensified for other relatives. Some began experiencing the dream while awake. They didn't break the curse, they redirected the signal, like switching channels, but broadcast kept going. Post war Japan, a burial performed hastily due to circumstances no one wanted to talk about. And this is in rural Kyushu, Japan. That is the island I have been living on for about 3.5 years. That is the southernmost Japan. So that the Kyushu Island is where Hiroshima and Nagasaki are. So the two bombing locations. Soon after the family experiences knocking from beneath the floor at night, objects subtly displaced, never dramatically, a persistent feeling that someone is waiting. A monk is brought in. He determines the burial was incomplete, improper rites. A correction ritual is performed, but something goes wrong. Mid ceremony, the monk reportedly stops and says, "This is no longer about the dead." After that, activity increases, not aggressive, but insistent, as if something is trying to be acknowledged correctly. The family eventually relocates. The house remains. Locals avoid it, not out of fear, but out of respect, which, in places like that, means the same thing. Some curses don't chase you, they wait for you to trip. Breaking a curse without understanding it is just redecorating that problem. If a ritual feels easy, it's probably incomplete. The most dangerous words in the occult? I think I get the idea. Not every silence means peace. Sometimes it means something is listening. A small rural shrine in Kyushu, Japan, barely marked on maps, tucked somewhere in Kyushu where the trees lean in like they're listening. For generations, one family was responsible for maintaining the shrine, cleaning, offerings, quiet duties. Simple work, unless you stopped doing it. One generation did. Modernization, they said. No time for old obligations. Shortly after, the family's finances collapse in oddly precise intervals. Illnesses that wouldn't kill just linger. Children reportedly dreams of standing in front of a shrine they never visited. When they returned to the shrine, they found something strange. The offering box was sealed, not broken, not damaged, sealed. They couldn't open it. Tool snapped, locks wouldn't turn. A Shinto practitioner was brought in and said something unsettling. The offering was refused, meaning whatever resided there had stopped accepting communication. They performed a restoration ritual. It worked partially. The box opened, but inside, nothing. No coins, no offerings, just empty space. Like the shrine had been paid and then forgotten on purpose. The family resumed their duties. The misfortune eased, but never fully left. Because some relationships, once neglected, don't reset, they downgrade. This one shows up in official shrine registries because technically this one does not show up in official shrine registries because technically it doesn't exist anymore. A coastal family once maintained a small shrine dedicated to a local sea spirit. Not famous, not powerful, just old. One ancestor allegedly removed the spirit's name from the shrine recordings during a dispute, erased it, which in Shinto belief is less like deleting a label and more like erasing a handle. After that, family members began drowning in shallow water, even strong swimmers, even in calm conditions. A ritual specialist determined the problem. You cannot appease what you cannot name. They attempted to restore the spirit's identity. Problem? No one remembered the name. Not fully. Fragments existed, syllables, sounds. They tried anyways, a reconstruction ritual. Half right, close enough to call something. The drowning stopped, but new phenomena began. Voices heard near water, calling incomplete names, reflections in water appearing slightly delayed. One account of a family member responding to a name that wasn't theirs. They didn't fix the curse, they gave it a new identity. And it's been calling ever since, trying to hear itself said correctly. The mountain shrine in Gifu, a woodworking family tied to a mountain shrine for centuries. Their role? Carve ritual objects, masks, small statues. One generation took a commission they shouldn't have. They carved a figure, not for reference, not for reverence, but for profit. Sold it. After that, every carved object from the family developed imperfections, cracks appearing overnight, faces subtly distorted, even when carved perfectly. The family believed they had offended the shrine spirit, so they began carving apologies. Literally, small wooden plaques with written apologies, offered daily, for years, decades. The distortions lessened, but never stopped completely. Modern descendants still carve, still apologize, because the curse didn't demand punishment, it demanded acknowledgement. Forever. The bread and salt oath curse in the Palermo region. A feud between two families late 1800s. It started simple. Land dispute. Pride. The usual ingredients. Then comes the betrayal. One family invites the other to reconcile over bread and salt, a sacred gesture of trust. During the meal, an assassination attempt is made. Failed, but the result? Unforgivable. An elder from the betrayed family reported placed a curse not on the man, but on his bloodline. The terms were simple: no table will hold you, no home will keep you. Over generations, descendants struggled to maintain homes, fires, evictions, structural collapses. Even modern members reported constant relocations. Attempts to break the curse included burning ancestral land documents, religious absolution rituals, public reconciliation ceremonies. Nothing worked because the curse wasn't about land, it was about betrayal of hospitality. And in Sicilian culture, that's not just rude, that's sacred ground. The Silent Bell in Vendetta, rural Sicily. A modern a murder during a church dispute. The victim's family couldn't prove it. No justice, no closure. So they did something quieter. They paid for the church bell to be rung. Once. In secret. No ceremony, no announcement, just one toll. Locals say that toll wasn't for mourning, it was a signal. A curse disguised as grief. After that, members of the accused family reported died without witnesses, found alone, always alone, even in crowded places. Attempts to break it, confession, public apologies, donation to the church. Nothing changed because the curse wasn't asking for forgiveness, it was enforcing isolation. A poetic kind of punishment. If the victim died unheard, so would they. The Unfinished Toast curse in Western Sicily. A family gathering, celebration, wine raised. Before the toast is completed, a man collapses and dies suddenly. Rumors spread that the death wasn't natural, that someone at that table knew it was coming. The widow allegedly cursed everyone present. No joy will finish in your hands. Over generations, weddings interrupted by tragedy. Business successes collapsing at the last moment. Celebrations consistently ending in conflict or loss. Descendants tried counter rituals, completing symbolic toasts for ancestors, recreating the original gathering correctly. But something always went wrong. Wine spilling, glasses breaking, sudden arguments. Like the moment itself refused to complete. Because the curse wasn't on the people, it was on the ending. Some curses don't follow blood, they follow promises. In Japan, forgetting a spirit is sometimes worse than angering it. In Sicily, betrayal doesn't expire, it compounds. A shrine doesn't need to be famous to be powerful, just remembered. Vendettas don't end, they just wait for the next person with the same last name. The erased surname family, Northern Italy, early 1900s, a family tied to a long standing vendetta decides to disappear without moving. They legally changed their surname. New documents, new records, new identity. On paper, they were gone. But the pattern followed. Firstborn children still fell ill at the same age. Financial ruin hit at the same life milestones. One descendant reportedly said, "It feels like something is checking in on schedule." They consulted clergy, the then folklore practitioners. One response stood out: "You changed the name, not the story." Because vendetta curses, especially in places like northern Italy, aren't tied to what people called you, they're tied to what was done. and history doesn't need your permission to remember you. The adopted escape that wasn't. Tohoku region, Japan. A family believed they were under a shrine related curse tied to their ancestral line. So they did something clever. They sent the child away, adopted into another family with a different name, different lineage. A complete reset, except it wasn't. Years later, the child, now grown, began having reoccurring dreams of a shrine they had never seen. They developed an aversion to certain rituals without knowing why. Illness patterns began mirroring the original family. Eventually, they were brought back to the region, shown the shrine. They recognized it instantly, not from memory, but by repetition. A local practitioner explained it simply. You can change the branch, but not the root. The curse wasn't tracking a name, it was tracking the blood. The Americanized name curse drift early 20th century immigrants. A Sicilian family emigrates, changes their name upon arrival. New country, new language, new life. Old problem. For a while, things seem fine. Then the same patterns reappear. Sudden deaths tried Sudden deaths tries tied to specific dates. Repeated business failures in identical circumstances. Family members report the same recurring phrase in dreams, in a dialect they no longer spoke. One descendant reportedly said, "It's like something crossed the ocean but didn't need a ticket, because whatever followed them wasn't bound by borders or paperwork." Now let's talk about something worse. When the curse doesn't stick to bloodline, it jumps, like it's looking for a new place to live. The marriage transfer curse rules Sicily. A woman marries into a family rumored to carry a generational curse. She's not blood, not connected, just unlucky in love. Within a year, she begins experiencing the same misfortune as her husband's family. Illness, accidents, escalating tension. Locals started treating her as if she had always been a part of it. After her husband dies unexpectedly, the curse doesn't leave, it stays with her, and then it follows her into her next relationship. Same patterns, different family. A local saying emerged around cases like this. Some curses marry better than people do. The caretaker shift phenomenon in Japan, and belief a rural property believed to be under a shrine-related curse changed ownerships. The original family leaves. New owners moved in. No connection, no shared blood. At first, nothing. Then, the same disturbances begin. Same sounds, same timing, same patterns, even the same dreams reported by the previous family. A visiting monk reportedly said, "The curse is not on the family was managing it." Let that let that sit for a moment. They weren't victims, they were containment. When they left, the responsibility didn't disappear, it transferred, like an unpaid bill the house itself keeps track of. The shared ritual fallout France Italy border. Remember how we talked about people doing rituals wrong? Here's what happens when they do it together. A group attempts to break a curse affecting one member. They performed a shared ritual. Collective effort. Very supportive, very doomed. Afterward, the original person experienced relief. The others begin showing symptoms: nightmares, physical marks, behavior changes. The curse didn't vanish, it redistributed, like splitting a debt across multiple accounts. The worst part? Some participants reported feeling chosen. Like the curse didn't just move, it selected. The object carrier transfer in Italy. A cursed family heirloom believed to carry generation misfortune is sold. Finally, someone else's problem. Except the family's misfortune lessens, and the buyer's life begins unraveling in eerie, similar ways. But here's where it gets interesting. The original family doesn't fully recover, they just improve. Like the offloaded part of the weight, the curse didn't leave, it diversified. Now it has multiple hosts, more reach, more room to grow. You can change your name, but you can't unfollow your past. Some curses don't belong to families, families belong to them. Blood isn't always the leash, sometimes it's just the invitation. If a, if a curse can move, it can choose. The most dangerous moment isn't when a curse finds you, it's when it decides to keep you. People think curses are chains, heavy, fixed, unbreakable, but the truth? Some of them are more like smoke. They slip through cracks, follow warmth, settle where they're welcomed. So the question isn't, can you escape a curse? It is, if it leaves you, where do you think it's going next? The name that wouldn't let go, Northern Italy. They changed everything. The surname first, then the record, then the way they introduce themselves, like actors who never break character. By the time Elena was born, the old family name existed only in whispers, in one locked drawer no one opened. Growing up, nothing seemed wrong, until patterns started showing up like uninvited guests. Her older brother got sick at 27. Not dramatic, just persistent. The kind of illness that doesn't kill you quickly, it studies you first. Their father lost his business at the exact same age his grandfather did. Different industry, same timing, same slow collapse. Elena didn't believe in curses. She believes in coincidence until she found a drawer. Inside, an old document with the original surname, a letter never sent, and one line, underlined twice. It follows the name we tried to bury. That night, she had a dream. Not symbolic, not vague. Someone standing at the foot of her bed, reading names out loud. Each one felt heavy, final, and when it reached the last one, it wasn't the name she used, it was the one her family erased. She woke up speaking it, fluently, like she's been practicing. After that, the pattern sharpened, not spread, not worsened, focused. Like something had confirmed her identity. Elena didn't try to break the curse, she did something quieter. She stopped denying it, started researching the original vendetta, the betrayal her family thought they escaped. Because if something is still calling your name, maybe the worst thing you can do is pretend you don't recognize your own voice. The son who left and was still counted to Hoku Japan. He wasn't supposed to inherit it. That was the whole point. Second son, sent away young, adopted to another family in a different prefecture. New name, new home, new life. Clean break. For years, it worked. He grew up normal, quiet, uneventful, until the dream started. Always the same. A shrine deep in the woods. A path he couldn't quite finish walking, and something waiting just out of sight. He had never seen that place, never been back, didn't even remember his birth, family clearly, but the dreams kept coming, closer each time, until one night he reached a shrine and there was someone standing there, not threatening, not angry, just waiting. When he woke up, he knew something he shouldn't have known, the layout of a place he had never visited. The layout of a place he had never visited, ever. Years later, curiosity won. He traveled back, found the region, asked around, and eventually someone showed him the shrine. Same path, same trees, same silence. He didn't panic, didn't run. He walked it, finished the path, and when he reached the shrine, nothing was there. No figure, no presence. Just a quiet space that felt like it had been expecting him. A local priest later told him, "You weren't followed, you were included." The curse hadn't chased him across distance. It had waited for him to return to the count. Sicily, the wife who inherited something she never agreed to. She married into it. That's how these things usually start. Not with blood, but with proximity. Her husband's family had a history people didn't explain. They just avoided certain topic, certain places. And after the wedding, the shift was immediate. Not obvious, subtle. Glasses cracking when she held them. Food spoiling faster when she prepared it. Conversation stopping when she entered rooms. Not out of rudeness, but unease. Then came the dreams. Not hers, his. He started waking up speaking to someone who wasn't there, apologizing, arguing, promising things he couldn't explain in the morning. Within a year, he was dead. Sudden, quiet, unanswered. And everyone assumed that was the end of it. But the curse didn't leave with him, it stayed. With her. At first, she thought it was grief. Then patterns started repeating. Not her patterns, his family's. She tried to leave, move cities, start over, met someone new, and for a moment, it felt like she had outrun it. Until her new partner started dreaming. Same words, same tone, different voice, same script. That's when she understood. This wasn't a family curse. It was it was relational one. It didn't care about blood, it cared about closeness. And once it recognized you as part of the structure, it didn't let go just because someone else did. The thing that learned how to follow. This one doesn't have a clear origin. No shrine, no vendetta, no clear beginning. Just a group of people trying to fix something. A shared ritual. A mistake. You've heard how those go. At first, it looked like it worked. The original person? Fine, quiet, normal. The others? Not so much. One reported seeing movements and reflections. Another started hearing their name, said in their own voice, and one said something that stuck. It doesn't happen all the time. It happens when I'm alone long enough, like something needed space, time, distance from others. Weeks passed, and then the pattern shifted again. It stopped affecting all of them. Just one. No clear reason, no escalation, just selection. Like something had observed the group and made a decision, and the others? They were fine. Mostly. Except for one thing. Every now and then, they'd catch themselves checking mirrors a little longer than necessary, just in case they weren't the one it shows after all. People think curses are about revenge, but some of them, they're about continuity and making sure the story doesn't end, even if even if the name changes. So here's the part they don't put in the rituals. The fine print written in something colder than ink. Curses don't die easily. They don't pack their bags, wave goodbye, and wish you luck in your new identity. No, they adjust. You change your name, they remember your voice. You leave the place, they learn their road. You cut ties with the family, they start watching who you love next. Because some curses aren't anchored to blood, they're anchored to pattern. And patterns are patient. They wait for repetition, for familiarity, for the moment when your life starts to look just a little too much like the one that came before it. And that's when they slip back, like they never left. So maybe the real question isn't, can you break a curse? Maybe it's this: what happens when it decides you're not the end of the story? Next time, we go deeper into objects that refuse to stay buried, things that survive fires, floods, and accidental disappearances. Items pass from hand to hand, each new owner thinking they got a bargain, not realizing they just signed a contract. We're talking about cursed artifacts that don't just haunt, they hunt. Because a house can be abandoned, a name changed, a family can scatter, but an object travels and it never forgets who held it last. So if you find something old, something that feels a little heavier than it should, something that seems a little too eager to be yours, maybe ask yourself one simple question: who was trying to get rid of this and why did it work on me? Until then, lock your doors, check your reflections. If you hear your name called from somewhere it shouldn't be, don't answer. Some things aren't trying to find you, they're trying to confirm you're still there.